Welcome to the Appendix, where we read the primary sources of the past so that the present can be better understood. Today's primary source, Petition of London Merchants for Reconciliation with America, January 23rd, 1775. Exports from England to the American colonies dropped from some 2.5 million pounds in 1774 to about 1/10 that sum in 1775. Not only did the success of the association thus threaten English merchants with ruin, but the imminent danger of hostilities with the colonies raised serious doubts as to the ability of English merchants to collect the large debts owed them by American planters. Mr. Alderman Haley said he had a petition from the merchants of the City of London concerned in the commerce to North America to that honorable House, and desired leave to present the same, which being given, it was brought up and read, setting forth, quote, that the petitioners are all essentially interested in the trade to North America, either as exporters and importers, or as vendors of British and foreign goods for exportation to that country, and that the petitioners have exported or sold for exportation to the British colonies in North America very large quantities of the manufacture of Great Britain and Ireland, and in particular the staple articles of woolen, iron, and linen, also those of cotton, silk, leather, pewter, tin, copper, and brass, with almost every British manufacturer, and that the petitioners have likewise exported or sold for exportation great quantities of the various species of goods imported into the kingdom from the East Indies, part of which receive additional manufacture in Great Britain, and that the petitioners receive returns from North America to this kingdom directly, viz., pigs, and bar iron, timber, staves, naval stores, tobacco, rice, indigo, deer, and other skins, beaver and furs, train oil, whale bones, beeswax, pot and pearl ashes, drugs and dyeing woods, and some bullion, and also wheat, flour, Indian corn, and salted provisions, when, on account of scarcity in Great Britain, those articles are permitted to be imported. And that the petitioners have great reason to believe, from the best informations they can obtain, that on the balance of this extensive commerce there is now due from the colonies in North America to the said city only 2,000,000 pounds sterling and upwards, and that by the direct commerce with the colonies and the circuitous trade thereon depending, some thousands of ships and vessels are employed, and many thousands of seamen are bred and maintained, thereby increasing the naval strength and power of Great Britain, and that in the year 1765 there was a great stagnation of the commerce between Great Britain and her colonies, in consequence of an act for granting and applying certain stamp duties and other duties in the British colonies and plantations in America, by which the merchants trading to North America and the artificers employed in the various manufactures consumed in those countries were subject to many hardships, and that in the following year the said act was repealed under an express declaration of the legislature that continuance of the said act would be attended with many inconveniences and might be productive of consequences greatly detrimental to the commercial interests of these kingdoms, upon which repeal the trade to the British colonies immediately resumed its former flourishing state, and that in the year 1767 an act passed for granting certain duties in the British colonies and plantations in America, which imposed certain duties to be paid in America on tea, glass, red and white lead, painter's colors, paper, pasteboard, millboard, and scaleboard when the commerce with the colonies was again interrupted, and that in the year 1770 such parts of the said act as imposed duties on glass, red and white lead, painter's colors, paper, pasteboard, millboard, and scaleboard were repealed, when the trade to America soon revived, except in the article of tea, on which a duty was continued to be demanded on its importation into America, whereby that branch of our commerce was nearly lost, and that in the year 1773 an act passed to allow a drawback of the duties of customs on the exportation of tea to His Majesty's colonies or plantations in America, and to empower the commissioners of the Treasury to grant licenses to the East India Company to export tea duty-free, and by the operation of those and other laws the minds of His Majesty's subjects in the British colonies have been greatly disquieted. A total stop is now put to the export trade with the greatest and most important part of North America. The public revenue is threatened with a large and fatal diminution. The petitioners, which grievous distress, and thousands of industrious artificers and manufacturers with utter ruin. Under these alarming circumstances, the petitioners receive no small comfort from a persuasion that the representatives of the people, newly delegated to the most important of all trusts, will take the whole of these weighty matters into their most serious consideration, and therefore praying the House that they will enter into a full and immediate examination of that system of commercial policy which was formerly adopted and uniformly maintained to the happiness and advantage of both countries, and will apply such healing remedies as can alone restore and establish the commerce between Great Britain and her colonies on a permanent foundation, and that the petitioners may be heard by themselves or agents in support of the said petition." Unquote. Thank you for joining us for our primary source today on the appendix. We will see you in the stacks.